Perhaps you're wondering, what exactly is the art of persuasion? And where is it useful? How can you learn about this? Well, in this video, I want to tackle these questions. My name is Mita, and for a decade now, I've been working with leaders and experts and founders and entrepreneurs, helping them design and deliver decision-making presentations and prepping them for their pitch. Not only this, I coach leaders to be more skillful when it comes to using your communication to lead. Leaders lead, and we lead with words. So it's a pretty useful thing to understand how the principles of persuasive communication work. The art of persuasion is the ability to convince or influence others to adopt a specific viewpoint, a specific belief, or an idea. It could be your viewpoint or just a general viewpoint, like a viewpoint of a community or a workplace. It involves the use of effective communication by which you lead the listener through 3 layers of the decision-making process. So the first is logical reasoning, the second is emotional appeal, and the third is the agreement stream. And well, there's a couple other things to it as well. There's a couple techniques to persuade people to take a specific action or to think in a particular way. And yes, you can do this ethically, meaning you understand the interest of your audience and you play the game with a win-win interest in mind. There is no conflict of interest if you are persuasive ethically. On the other hand, if you are a skillful manipulator with no mercy to their interest, now that is not cool. How do you know if you are persuasive or just manipulative? Well, ask yourself this question. Does your listener know your agenda? The person you're trying to persuade, do they know what your secret agenda is? And if you reveal that, what you stand personally to benefit from this, would that change how they would decide? Would they change their decision? Or would they still be in agreement with you? So you would lead them to the same decision even though your secret is revealed now. If you have to hide your true agenda, now that is reason for concern. The art of persuasion is often used in various settings like sales and marketing and politics and public speaking and advertising and negotiation, and we see it everywhere. When you are a skilled persuader, you can use specific language and structured stories and other communication skills to kind of sway an audience, nudge towards a specific thinking. And you get them to see things from a different angle, different perspective. This technique is called reframing, and it's kind of like, it's a bit like putting a new frame around an old painting. So to be a true masterful artist in reframing, it's important to understand it's not about really pushing a certain idea or agenda or point of view on another person. It's not pushiness. Persuasion is about leading, and leading means you kind of start where they are right now with kind of their belief in mind. And then by adding elements such as stories, they work a bit like traffic signs. These stories, the statements are like traffic signs, slowly turning them into that specific belief. And this is how they make the turn. The best way to lead is by questions. Remember, the person asking the questions is always the one leading the conversation. So when you ask a question, it's a bit like you're opening up a folder in that other person's mind. Like the folder is labeled with the label of your intention, the intention of the question. Coaches use this technique actually all the time. And this is also why it's important to be ethical in the coaching setting. Because the coachee is leading the way. It's a bit like you are the one reframing the old painting, but like the limiting belief or a bad habit is the old painting, you know what I mean? But then they are the ones who need to be picking out the new frame, if this is making sense. This is ethical. If they are the one picking out the new frame, and you're leading them to the options and choices for them to pick, then it's ethical. If you're pushing the frame on them, then that's not cool. In public speaking, stories come really, really handy to kind of illustrate a new point or a variety of options. Like with a story, if you know how to place your audience into the scene, it's easy for the listener, for the audience to put in all the modalities, like to fully like embrace themselves in the story and to kind of come into this new way of thinking to form their own decision. Persuasiveness, and this is something I really like to emphasize a lot, is very different to being pushy. When your persuasion doesn't work, do not resort to the push. Many times we do that. You can kind of, there's limitations, right? So a mild push might be okay, like a story that sort of frames the need to take certain actions sooner rather than later. But then also sometimes in life it's best to take the decisions later rather than sooner. So it's not really necessary for you to push. It's best to kind of, let go like an elastic, let go and come back. The important thing to remember when it comes to persuasion is that persuasion is not telling someone what to think. People are best persuaded when they come to that decision on their own, by themselves. When they have that aha moment, that insight, perhaps inspiration, they come to their own conclusion. This is what they decided. And when that happens, you know that you've helped someone make a great choice, but they still made that great discovery on their own. And you can see the happiness on their face if they made a great choice, obviously. And that is also what I love and what is grand for me about persuasion, and that is also why I love it. Persuasion sounds like a really big word, doesn't it? Like something we don't really use every day. We don't persuade every day. We use persuasion for special occasions, for only when it's truly, truly, truly necessary, right? This is wrong. Persuasion is all around us all the time. It drives our society, not just from television or advertising appealing to your most basic human needs. Like Christopher Schroeder writes, it is most probably endemic to our very own human nature. Just think, mothers persuading kids to do homework. You are maybe persuading yourself to eat healthy, to go for that promotion you want at work. We persuade ourselves and others as well, day in and day out. It is endemic to how we are built this way. But here's a question. Are we skilled in using the art of persuasion to our benefit? Or are just some people skilled at that? But I believe everybody should be, because it is so important. My name is Meta. I'm a professional speaker coach, and I simply love designing persuasive presentations together with my clients to help them pitch their ideas and their business to prospects. And I also love to teach people the strategies and structures of persuasive talk. My designs, together with my future voices and their just amazing presentations, have been delivered all over the world, from Dubai through Europe to New York, and so on and so forth. So persuasion is one of my favorite sports when it comes to public speaking. And I see it as an incredibly positive thing. It is about helping people make great choices. Actually understanding the principle of the art of persuasion, it is extremely useful. Just think how you could use it just to advance your own life. Just in your inner dialogue, you can use it to best motivate yourself. In delivering a presentation, think how you can support people. They need to be making great decisions faster. Your audience needs to be making their decisions faster. So no more procrastinating, no turning down optimal opportunities due to some made up excuses or objections that are linked to what? Our fear, risk aversion, or just plain damn ignorance. One way it is also useful to understand the underlying principles of persuasion is to figure out when you yourself are being duped. Yes, when someone is advancing their aim by appealing to one of your basic human needs, and not that they necessarily mean you harm, but it's just a fact. Persuasion exists, so we best get really smart about it, learn about it, and learn how to ethically and ecologically use it to lead others with your communication. Leaders lead. Leaders lead using words. Books are written to lead you into a specific viewpoint, and you are led to believe. So, what do you need to lead others into believing what you have to say? So here are the 3 layers in the art of persuasion. So the first layer is logical reasoning. The second is emotional appeal. And the third is the so-called agreement stream. So these 3 things linked together make for the best persuasive tactics. Just reasoning alone doesn't work, not well enough. If it did, well, if the world would rely on logic, the world would be a much nicer place, don't you agree? Everybody would just buy one brand of yogurt. We'd not have any problems, any arguments. We'd just leave it to the mathematicians to figure out what's best for the world. But we don't. We are emotional creatures. And modern neuroscience has confirmed already that the limbic part of our brain, the primal brain, the reptilian brain, I actually call this the sex, drugs, and rock and roll part of the brain, as it's responsible for our addictions and urges and instincts, and the id resides there, probably. So the limbic brain is the mind's primary filter for all information. Everything that touches you, everything that you experience, that you see, hear, smell, feel, taste, all the logically structured info you gulp down, may it be mathematics, you will be experiencing it emotionally as well. So remember this, us humans, we make decisions with our emotions, but then use logic to rationalize these decisions, to make sense why we decided to do what we decided to do. This means if you want to lead with persuasion, you need to understand emotions. You need to understand how to kind of evoke certain emotional state within people. It's not at all difficult to actually do that. Just think about it. It's very easy to lead someone into a negative emotional state. We do it all the time, not consciously. Just think of like you had a coffee with your friend and you've discussed how life sucks and how many problems we have to solve. Maybe you didn't even mean to get there, but somehow, this conversation over a latte just ended up whose life's shittier conversation, Talking about negative situations leads to a negative emotional state, which is created in like the chemistry of our bodies. We can, however, also lead ourselves into a positive emotional state by having positive conversations over a latte about what we love and like and how much fun we are having and what is positive in the world. My daughter, when my daughter comes home from school and she starts complaining about this shit day she's having, and I usually listen a bit to say, to validate, I guess I understand what you're going through, but then I always ask, so tell me one thing that was fantastic today. And I'm adamant about her figuring that out. She needs a bit of time to figure that out. But when she does, the mood changes. You see, with words, especially with questions, you can lead people into certain kind of frames of thinking. And these frames of thinking then will lead into feeling. If you want to change how you feel, that is why they say change what you think. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. It's easier said than done. But I do dare you to test it. Try it out. Like next time you're with your friend, just over a latte, observe the conversation. Where is it going? Are you talking about events or people negatively, or are you talking about events or people positively? Where is this conversation leading to? How often does it shift? Can you ask a specific question consciously and actively shift the conversation from the negative to a more positive frame? Once you figure that out, that you can, you're going to want to do it more. So here's the third thing now, the agreement stream. Well, basically, this is all about statements, like clear and powerful statements that you place amidst a conversation that have this somewhat power to get a clear check, like a clear yes, I agree from the person you're talking to. They need to say, yes, that's true. You need to hear that from your audience. How persuasive communication works is kind of like balancing these three components, like juggling them. The logical train of thought, the chunking of the logical train of thought, and then adding this emotional state, and then placing in the agreements. All together, they kind of make you a very powerful communicator if you know how to do that. An important thing to remember when it comes to persuasion is that persuading is not telling someone what to think. People are best persuaded when they come to a decision by themselves. When they have that aha moment, that insight, that reframe of an old belief, they create their own conclusion. So in this respect, it's important for you to start leading the conversation from an angle. And I'll tell you more about this in this video. My name is Meta. I'm a professional speaker coach, and I simply love persuasive techniques, as I believe persuasion has the power to bring people closer, to resonate, and to understand each other's worlds better. I believe when people push their agenda on others and are not successful, often we hear them say something like, "Oh, what's wrong with people? Why don't they understand? I'm only trying to help. You don't know what's good for you." What we have to understand is that the beliefs they have right now around a certain something, they're here because of many years and decades of information that supports that. And these infos, these facts, if we can call them that, they have been accumulating their whole lifetime, and their belief system might be different from your belief system. And when two belief systems then clash, that is not persuasive. That's creating conflict. This is why persuasive communication takes time, and you need to start at a certain angle that is where that person is at that particular point in time. And then you work your way towards your end goal, ethically, of course. Let's say I want you to adopt a certain belief around, let's say, just thinking this, like sugar. I might want to start talking about something we both agree on first, like coffee, and then lead into sugar. It's an example, I know. So let's say someone wants to lose weight. I might start with talking about summer vacation and then lead into fitness. But what do you lead with? Like, what is the glue between point A and point B? What is in between this? This is an important question, and this, my friend, are basic human needs and understanding how the basic human needs work. The connection between the starting point A and the end point B, the connection is either like a basic human need or any of the limbic emotional need. So to be a true master of persuasion, understanding human needs, why they are here, how they work, which they are. Like, these are needs such as pride and safety and power and variety and fun and love and respect and values even can be considered human needs. Strengths like curiosity, prudence, achievement, they can all be considered as the needs we have because we want to fulfill that. There are many different frameworks also around human needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of human needs is one of the most essential ones. I prefer to use the Tony Robbins 6 human needs because he made it so super simple to grasp and understand. Well, thank you, Tony. I really love that concept. But I also love one other concept, which is the limbic map. This is from a German institute, and it's a system of motivational drivers. It's called limbic. Look it up if you're interested in learning more about this. So the connection between human needs and persuasion is done by adding stories or metaphors or fables or quotes or statements even that can illustrate like a specific thing, feel and do in context of that need being played out. Like if I play on your sense of safety, I would use a story to like maybe place you in an unsafe situation and then lead into how something can help you take care of your safety needs a tad more. Is it making sense? So what are the 3 most common denominators according to psychology when it comes to us humans and the human needs? Okay, so from all the profiling tools that I've looked up in my life, and I've come across to kind of link the 3 most powerful. First is achievement, second is power, and third is relationship. Okay, so achievement, power, and relationship. Think about this for yourself. Just think about why these 3 things, right? So think about this. What do you believe is the most important thing in life? Is it your relationships? Do you put your relationship first and achievement maybe second? Or is it the other way around? Are you about achievement? Or maybe you are about power. You like feeling that you have power over yourself or some situation. Maybe you even think that power is needed to get those goals done, you know, to get stuff done, to check the boxes, to create some positive change in the world. Maybe you need power for that. It can be a very positive thing, power as well. It can be a negative thing, it can be a positive thing. Each of those can be negative and positive, depends on how you spin it. So these needs, or otherwise called also motivational drivers, they kind of drive our behavior. And since this behavior is always supported by our own beliefs, if you want to affect someone's behavior, you have to kind of change their beliefs. And to change their beliefs, you have to first tap into what drives the need, right? What is the driver behind the need and what the need is usually. So usually the best entry into persuasion is an unmet need. If you crave something, like let's say that you crave a relationship, someone dabbing into that can quite skillfully manipulate you. Like maybe you need power, maybe you need some sort of achievement. Like it can actually be quite dangerous. You know, you wouldn't believe how much persuasion one can take when a need is unmet. And this is also why persuasion is not exactly an innocent game. It is a big part of our daily lives. It is everywhere, from television to advertising to basically we use it all the time in our conversations. It is very endemic to how we live our lives. It is part of our human nature. And this is also why I personally really strongly believe that we would need to be educated on this topic more. We need to understand it better so we can all use it ethically and understand when it's happening and what is happening. In my personal opinion, and also in my expert opinion, persuasion can be a very useful tool if you, of course, use it ethically and ecologically, meaning you have discovered, you have made the effort into discovering the best interests of your audience at their heart, and you are also like fitting this with your agenda, so there is no conflict of interest. If there is conflict of interest though, you might want to check your ethics. Like first check with yourself, like why is it so important for you to really affect and change someone's mind? Like I say, you know, we persuade and influence each other all the time. sometimes just for your win, I think doing it consciously means that you yourself create and abide by a very, very, very high ethical standard. Perhaps an ethical standard of your industry, perhaps an ethical standard, just in values or how you approach things. About the structure of a decision-making presentation, the way I design them with my clients when they are preparing to showcase their product, their innovation, their services to potential or existing business partners. So here it is. First, resonance. Second, problem frame. Third, outcome frame. Fourth, objections. Fifth, proof. And the final sixth is the call to action. So let's have a bit of explanation to each point. First, we have the resonance. This is a short opening statement with which you get your audience to agree with you on something related to your industry. It needs to be a positive statement, meaning that it resonates with them in a positive emotional context. Now, second, we have the problem frame, which is all about the current situation, the problems the businesses are facing, explicitly the businesses of your clients, not your business, but theirs. You can use a story to describe that context. Then third, we lead into the presentation into the desired outcomes. So pay attention, as this point is not about the business result as much for the client, but rather I suggest it to be the bigger picture behind their purpose, the vision, the mission. It has to kind of link to something beyond just ROI or business results, if this is making sense. It has to be more of a combination of both logic and emotion. And what's more emotional than purpose? At this point in your presentation, people are well motivated to get something done, to take action. However, here's also where objections and obstacles and excuses come. It's not the right time, there's not enough people in the team, they're also busy with something else, money issues, time issues, whatnot, And this is why it's great to link objections with proof. So you have objections here, which you're overcoming with proof of how other people, your other clients, how they overcame the many objections, the similar objections, and they are now already generating great results for their businesses. It can be either like a classic testimonial frame, or you can demonstrate a use case, you can use a story, you can use many formats to link the objections with the proof. Now lastly, let's not forget, going all the way might be a tad much for people, so we like to make small steps, don't we? Just small but incremental steps. Just enough to feel the water a little bit, to tap in that water a little bit first. This is why a very easy next actionable step is vital to be included in your call to action. Don't make it too hard for them, make it simple for them. Like something like a 15-minute exploration meeting right now, that's happening right now, that they can book right now, something simple. There are many options, and when I work with my clients helping them design and deliver their pitch, we work also on this marketing and follow-up sales activities as well, so they get really great at converting, the audience into customers or leads when they are presenting. Let's talk about my favorite type of presentations, the persuasive decision-making presentations. So this structure is used in sales, marketing, business development, and you might be in need of this structure to pitch your idea at work. So let's get down to business. My name is Meta and I'm the founder of Future Voices, this community of leaders shaping their persuasive communication skills. And I just love persuasive pitching. I believe it is a really cool thing to actually help someone run through the obstacles and objections and a great number of excuses we all make in our daily lives not to do something, you know what I mean? And get them to say yes, a real powerful, inspired, engaged, happy, hopeful yes. So the starting point, always is a very powerful opening statement. Your audience must for sure agree with you on something simple from the get-go. As soon as you walk out the stage, something like, okay, raise your hand if you like money. Check, yes. The simpler the better the question, okay? So this opening statement needs to capture the audience's attention straight from the get-go and also emphasize this grand scheme of things, the big umbrella, the big picture of your subject. For example, you could begin with a thought-provoking question, a startling real statistic, or a relevant quote, but it must be around the subject like a big umbrella. So this opening statement needs to have a positive resonance. This is very important. So if I were to say, do you agree with me money is a source of corruption? I have a double resonance maybe. It can be a yes, it can also be a no, it can also be a maybe, it can also be I don't really know what to say. So it's a bit it depends. So this is a wishy-washy opening. This is why opening with the simplest positive agreeable statement is super important, making it as simple as possible, and most of all, probably all of them have to agree to that. Okay, now we've covered that. Now, what we will use to make this structure simpler for you to grasp are frames. So what are frames? Frames are chunks of information that fit together. Okay, so this first opening statement is what I call the resonance frame. And next in this decision-making presentation structure, we jump to the problem frame. So in the problem frame, we can use stories or anecdotes, even information and data, something that illustrates the problem, the issue that needs to be addressed. Now, a story can also provide context around the problem. So what you can do is you can illustrate what will happen if the problem continues to not be addressed. So there will be consequences, right? So in this problem frame, you have both the current problem and the consequences, and also how they relate to our human needs. The reason we use storytelling to illustrate this frame is to not just make it logical, but also to add emotional context around this logical reasoning. This is important. In persuasion, both these things are very important, logical reasoning and emotional appeal. So storytelling can help make the topic more relatable and give the audience a bit more contextual, clear, and also an emotional understanding of the situation. Now, since you've opened up a can of worms here with the pain story about the problem, I advise you to move over towards the desire frame. That's where we want to be, right? All of our problems solved. How about using a video to cover the gains? Maybe other people can explain them and not you. That can be very persuasive, actually. Okay, so let's recap what we've done so far. We established a clear resonance with our audience about the issue. Then we moved to the problem, and then we moved to the end result in the context of this decision, so the problem frame and the outcome frame. The next question now, what will the audience wonder about now? I bet the audience is gonna wanna know who you are and how do you know? How do I know you know? So now it's time for you to go into the expert frame. You introduce yourself, and you must introduce yourself by positioning yourself as the expert in this field. I advise you to use 3 segments of your life that are indisputably linked to this topic. No need to recite your full CV. This is not the timeline of your life. Just mention a couple things, a bit like, when did you first learn about this in terms of the problem? How many years of experience do you have in solving the problem? How many wins did you have in solving the problem? And also fails count. Don't forget about the fails. But always end with a big win at the end. Your most important achievement always comes last. Okay, so now that you established your credibility, you can move into the, obviously, solution frame. This is where you explain details about your subject from 5 different angles. You have, well, the 5 different angles can be many things, but let's just look at what they could be. Theory, practice, value, personal beliefs, and testimonials. As with testimonials, this is the proof frame of your pitch. This can also be, separate at the end. You can explain it with maybe a used case or have other people do this for you. Show examples of other people breaking through the barrier of obstacles and objections. When you do that, your audience, people who are listening to this, they can get quite jealous or there's this bit of envy that other people have solved the problem that they're still tackling. And envy is always a kind of useful emotion to put in the pitch. Okay, so at the end, we have the call to action frame or action frame. Of course, I explained the call to action in detail in another video, so I will just leave you with my very own call to action to check out this whole course I created about pitching without pushing. If you want to get great at persuasion, perhaps this course, you can get it on the link, is just what you need. Sales is one of the most important skills to master if you are a solopreneur, and many coaches and consultants are mainly doing their own sales. In fact, it doesn't matter what business you're in. You might be the person who is totally comfortable when it comes to sales, or you might find it discomforting. You might shy away from it. It gives you anxiety. Maybe you line up excuses. Why not do what needs to get done? Why not make that phone call? Why not hustle people on LinkedIn? Why not follow up with an email? I get you. Perhaps you too believe that marketing should be enough. So doing social media, maybe speaking at an event or two, people will find out about you and they will come to you. You want them to come to you, not the other way around. But pay attention now. If you want a person to come around your house for a barbecue, wouldn't you have to invite them? So when it comes to presenting at events, a lot of my clients shy away from placing a very strong and very powerful call to action at the end of the presentation, obviously making sure it's seated before. Even though they are interested in fresh leads and conversions and results, obviously, they sometimes fear they might kind of scare people away by being too pushy. I get that. But let me tell you a story that will change how you think and feel about calls to action and sales entirely forever. Okay, so let's say it's your best friend's birthday. Your BFF is throwing this grand party. And as you two go about your neighborhood, your BFF is extending an invitation to everybody. You're meeting people left and right and they go, "Hey, so nice to see you. How are you? Come to my party. It's my birthday next week. I'd love you to come. There's going to be a barbecue, a live band, loads and loads of people, and you're going to love it, and I love it if you come. And will you come? Can you confirm?" And you observe this. What is happening? Your BFF is throwing invites left and right. Yet, your best friend never directly asked you. Think about it for a little bit. Think hard. How does this make you feel? Wouldn't you say that you know that you are obviously invited? Obviously, you are the best friend. So it kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? But let me ask you this. Would you want to be invited? Would you consider it to be nice if your friend would maybe look you in the eye, sincerely, and with this eye contact of intimacy would come these magic words, "Hey, are you coming to my party?" Most people I ask this question would very much like to be invited, even though they know they are invited and it's their best friend, but then here's the most important question when it comes to sales and calling to action. Okay, the CTAs. If we all kind of need our very best friends to ask direct questions out loud, then how in hell do we think that random strangers we don't even know will assume that they can knock on your business door anytime without any invites from you? Any direct calls, invitations, reminders, persuasive calls to make some kind of immediate action in this specific time frame. You know, here's the thing. People like to know that they're welcome. People like to know that they're invited, that they are the type of a client you're working with. They want to know what will be happening there. They like to be informed about what to expect. They're grateful for your offering to help them. It's important for the CTA, for the call to action at the end of your persuasive decision-making presentation, to be even delivered and designed. And when you are delivering it, think of it like it is a party invitation. So right here, each Wednesday, there's a party happening on Zoom. Leaders from all over the world are welcome. You should come train your pitch. It's $4.99 a month, and you can sign in here with just your email and the click of this button here. So just click it now, don't hesitate. First visit is free, and then you can always decide to join if you like it and if it serves your needs. You see, it's all down to, where, who, what, how, when. And actually the clicking of the button with this example I was demonstrating before, as you noticed, it was emphasized over 3 times. If this was on stage, I would have repeated the party invitation directions a couple more times, just in case people missed it. And it would not be written down on slides. Why not? Because it has to look like I just thought of it. If I have a flip chart, I would write down the details. In bigger audiences, we would sometimes design like a landing page, and there would be just a QR code on screen for the time of the final pitch so that people can scan it. If you have more questions regarding selling from your presentation without looking too salesy or pushy, I have an online course for that can help you. And also, you can contact me anytime. Just drop a comment or check out my available slots on Calendly. Let me ask you this. Can you remember a time when you wanted to persuade someone important in your life to see things your way? Potentially you knew that the choices or actions of this particular someone are bad for them, and you just wanted to help, and with their best interest at heart. You talked and explained and begged and pleaded. However, not much has changed. No. Perhaps this was your partner, your boss, assistant, client, coworker. All the time we have conversations with people. We're trying to communicate our point of view to them, opting to come to this agreement. And if you have situations like this in your life and you want to be more successful at these types of conversations, this is where the art of rhetorical persuasion comes in quite handy. My name is Meta Groschel. I am a coach of influential communication skills to leaders and experts. I also teach influential public speaking skills. I absolutely adore the principles of persuasion, considering we use them ethically, of course. And in this video, I want to take you through a simple example of leading a person with questions to a decision that is a good decision for that person, of course. Actually, this individual will make their own decision with a bit of a nudge, I'm going to tell you a story, and with this story, we will go through the elements of persuasion for you to see how this works. Okay, so are you ready? Yes, we're ready. Okay, first the context or the frame of this story. So I'm a mother of 2. I have a girl and a boy. And when my son was about 8-ish year old, he was mad into soccer. I was a legit soccer mom, really. he loved soccer, but, well, homework? Not so much. So after practice, he'd usually start like dragging his notebooks out and the school bag and like all tired and annoyed about it. And I was going mental, like, why don't you get this done before practice? I used to ask, and I was not successful at all. So one day, a very lovely sunny summer day, as we're parking the car in the driveway, the neighbor's kids come out, bouncing the ball around and asking him, hey, you want to play? Mommy, can I play? Homework, maybe? Oh, yes, I still have homework. Then no. And with this came this, oh my God, a brilliant idea, a persuasion tactic in my eye. Next day, I start a conversation. So here it is. Okay, the idea is I found an angle, an entry point. Hey, it was a really lovely day yesterday, wasn't it? And I wait for that agreement. I need to hear the yes. I need him to check that for me. Notice I said nothing about play or homework. This is important. You have to start from an angle that's positive, agreeable, and in a way somewhat more related to the bigger picture of the actual request, like something that, like a sunny day, because you go out to play on a sunny day, not on a rainy day. Okay, now, a second question. It's a bit of a shame you didn't get to play outside, yeah? I wait again for what? For the yes. Now, as a caveat, if I had heard a no, then I might be on the losing streak. I need to find another entry point, so it's not going to work. But if he's agreeing so far, like if I have him on the stream, then we can play that way. Yeah, we can go towards that way. Okay, so it was a shame. He agreed that it was a shame that he didn't get to go out and play with the neighbor's kid. Okay, so we have question number 3 now. What stopped you? The homework, right? So you could go out and play if you didn't have that homework so late in the evening, yeah? I wait for another. Yes. Wouldn't it be great if you had done it sooner? Now here's where things get a little bit complicated. And this is the normal space for people to reach for that classic excuse, an obstacle or objection. So, this is where he would, I could have done it, mommy, but this and that and this and but there's no time, I have to play, and the teachers suck, and blah. So here's where we get into modeling. We're going to lead this conversation to someone that could, to like options and resources. So I asked my son, okay, is there someone in your school that is doing their homework prior to lunch, that gets that homework done early? Yes, there is. What do you think? What are they doing differently now? Now he starts to explain the options. Well, they start straight away. Maybe they don't talk so much to the other kids. Maybe, they do that or this. And so he was like kind of counting out a couple of options. Well, could you do something like that maybe? Now we're into a more open conversation where I'm actually going to explore options with him. I don't want to give him my options. I don't want to give him my answer. I don't want my answer to affect him. I also want him to figure this out on his own. So this is really important. First of all, when he is thinking about his own options, this is where this new frame of thinking starts shaping up, and it leads to more of an intrinsic decision. It also, if a person is led by intrinsic motivation to get some work done, it's going to be way more engaging for you, for anybody to really, be motivated to follow through. So this is why, even with persuasion, you do engage with the options so that people make up their own mind, and you're not pursuing your agenda, but they're pursuing their own goals, not yours. This is how persuasion can be ethical, yeah? So now he started thinking out loud. Okay, counted like a number of options, like I can do this, 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 this. With an active listening technique, I would summarize all of that. Okay, so I summarized, so you can do, I reflected back to him. So you said you can first do it faster, second, talk to the teacher, three, a copy from your friend. That's quite a lot of options here. So which option are you willing to test out tomorrow? So which option will you test out tomorrow to see how it works out? Now this is an important pivotal moment. I live for these moments. I see him thinking, like there's new connections forming in his neural net as I observe his pretty little face, pretty little head. His brain is developing a principle. He's deciding to test an option out. And here's where I left it. Here's where I leave it. This little boy, have to say, like this is a true story, in the next 2 weeks, he was running to my car, to mommy's car, each day celebrating his newfound success. It was so lovely to observe, like every day. Either it was just like half the homework done, or sometimes it was all the homework done. He was like, Mommy, what happened today? He kept on bragging about how fast he was working and how he got his teacher to help and how he's, now ready to go out and play. And I was just so happy. It was a great sight to see him excited about not only getting to play outside with his friends, but he was also excitedly proud of himself and his own achievement. And he was in all damn right proud of himself. He got the work done. He was the one who made the choice. He went to soccer training, then came home and played, and he well deserved it. So let's recap this briefly. We had here in this conversation, so we had an opening statement that was a positive resonance with an agreement. Then we led the conversation into the pain frame. Then we led it, number 3, into the outcome desire frame. We continued with overcoming objections by leading towards like this variety of options. And from this, we closed with a call to action, which was one agreement about this one next option, the next actionable step. In fact, if you were to design a persuasive presentation for work, this is the exact structure that you would have to use to nail it. So as you see, there is a structure to these types of conversations. However, they are difficult. It's not really a straight road. In order to be like really savvy and good at it, you have to be highly observant of the conversation and what's happening in the conversation. It's a bit like a detective game about what people need or want or desire, and you have to also care and investigate, what their real needs are and interests and wants. I personally do believe that the more you really, really care about those needs and the more you really get to develop an interest into those needs and ask questions about the needs, the more charismatic you become. So I feel that in that sense, rhetorical influence, together meshed with this ethics and empathy of the heart, can really create a really charismatic individual. I want to share with you a story that I love, and it is so descriptive when it comes to your personal influence. Yes, your personal influence. Well, maybe you don't believe you have influence. You're not an influencer, maybe. Maybe you're confusing influence with leverage. A lot of people confuse these two terms. Like people with connections and money and power, they have leverage. They can pull the lever and the wheels will shift. And even though we might call them like influential people, influence is something that we all have. We're not equally aware of it though. The better you raise that awareness of your personal influence, the better you get at harvesting that magical influence of yours as personal influence. It's like charisma. In fact, it's part of charisma, if you're doing it right. You see, charismatic leaders are aware of how their behavior influences the world around them. Everything, from how you say hello, from how you make eye contact, from remembering people's names, remembering details about their life, mirroring and building rapport with people, keeping contact. There is also positive influence, the influence of charisma, when people feel really great when they are near you and they want to be near you more. And then there's this negative influence, like the fear-dominated type, more of like the manipulative play, and people don't feel good around your presence. Let's take a closer look at both of them through the perspective of a story. Do you know Aesop, the famous old Greek poet whose famous fables are all about interpersonal relationships, communities, the characters of different personalities? So there's this famous fable that I love, and it talks about influence. It's about the sun and the north wind who are fighting over who has more power in the universe. And the sun said, well, I obviously am the most powerful. I am the sun. Everything revolves around me. Everybody knows that. So the north wind responded, hey, no way, are you the most powerful? You can't move anything. I have the power to shake the tree down to its last leaf. I am the Almighty. And then they couldn't agree on this. They made a pact. Seeing this man walking down the road wearing a warm winter coat, or better said, maybe a toga. Yeah, it was a very long time ago in Greece. Let's call it a winter toga. So the north wind suggested that the one who gets this man's toga off his shoulders wins the most powerful in the universe competition. So the north wind starts to blow and blow and blow, and the man just wraps the toga on closer and tighter and fights the wind. So the north wind gets discouraged. Can't do it. Okay, sun, it's your turn, it's your try. And here the sun reaches out to the man with her warm rays. The man gets hot, gets weary, sits down under a tree and takes his toga off. Ooh, the north wind is furious. Now, how did you do that? You didn't do a single thing yourself. The man did it all. He took off his coat. How did you get him to do that? And the sun responded, with softness and with grace. I achieved everything I set myself out to achieve, with softness and with grace. So what's the point of this story? What's the lesson? Well, here are a couple lessons. First of all, the coat represents the walls people put up to protect themselves from pain and hurt. You know what I'm talking about. We all have a wall or two around our perimeters, and so do other people. The way we get them to lower their walls is with softness and with grace, with trust and love and commitment and engagement and passion. So lesson number one in influence is empathy. Have empathy for what other people are wanting and needing. Then we have the action itself. Remember, the man took off his coat by himself. This represents the fact that people will make the choice you want them to make if you create the conditions in which the right choice can be made, and is also the appropriate choice. So lesson number two in influence: create great conditions to make people feel how you want them to feel in your presence. So remember, the sun made the man feel warm. Now for the third and last lesson, remember, the sun had good intentions, softness and grace. They represent love and kindness and warmth. So the metaphor here is that you can have more influence than you can possibly imagine in a soft and graceful, positive manner than you can ever hope to gain forcefully. And it will be a much longer lasting influence as well. People will remember you forever. I'm a firm believer in positive influence. So last lesson, number 3, is to keep in mind you are influencing the world around you from the minute you wish good morning to yourself. So make sure that you are a positive influence and a source of joy for you. And then as soon as you walk out the door, you start spreading that love. I challenge you to think about how you are influencing your community, your family, your friends, and your partners. Are you greeting them with a smile? And I invite you to be that person who makes a decision from the heart, from your intrinsic motivational core. You will be that person who says good day first. You will bring coffee for everyone. You build that generous, soft person. And the right way to do this is by letting go of your want for reciprocation. You know what? I think this is hard to do because we all want to be reciprocated. But there is this law in the universe that says, like, what goes around comes around, right? Karma, whatever you want to call it. Like, even we can call it heart magnetism if you want. The energy of the sun. I don't know. You know, I do believe that there is this law of reciprocity and that it will be fulfilled. Maybe not how you plan it out, but it for sure is going to happen if you become this person of positive, sunny influence. Well, thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you for viewing the whole Art of Persuasion series to the end. I hope you found it useful and to your benefit. Of course, like it and share it and comment on it. I'm interested in what you have to say about it. Take care and, of course, make sure you speak soon.